Hello and welcome to the National Security Conversation. China's rise has shifted the focus of global geopolitics to the Indo-Pacific. United States pivot to Asia, China's Belt and Road Initiative, RCEP, which India is not a part of, India's Act East policy are all indicative of the strategic reorientation in Asian geopolitics. Chinese territorial aggression in its neighborhood and its brand of wolf warrior diplomacy has further galvanized regional counterbalances in the form of the Quad and the renewed impetus for the Indo-Pacific construct. And as Indo-Pacific becomes the locus of international security competition, Taiwan's significance and its stance against Chinese revisionism has further increased. In fact, Taiwan is arguably the hottest flashpoint in the new Cold War, quite like Berlin was in the last one between the United States and the Soviet Union. The US policy towards Berlin was critical in shaping superpower relations during the Cold War. Similarly, how the United States and its allies mount their Taiwan policy in response to increasing Chinese aggression may very well shape the contours of US-China rivalry in the years to come. And yet, the situation today is much more complicated than that. The world today is moving towards multipolarity. And rising great powers like India and Japan have greater stakes in the international system and in counterbalancing China. How regional powers respond to Chinese aggression will significantly shape the balance of power in the region in the years to come. India's relations with China is at an all-time low since the two armies clashed along the line of actual control last June. The recent tactical disengagement after months of troop buildup and military confrontation only goes to highlight the long-term strategic threat from China. Against this scenario, India-Taiwan relations acquire renewed and deeper strategic significance. Not only do the two countries share democratic norms and values, but India is also one of the few countries in the region to have deep cultural ties with Taiwan. How can India and Taiwan build upon their strategic convergence considering the common Chinese threat and augment their cooperation across the economic, security and technological domains? That is the question of the day. To answer some of these important questions and discuss India-Taiwan relations, we have with us Dr. Mumin Chen. Dr. Chen is the Deputy Representative of Taiwan at the Tapei Economic and Cultural Center in New Delhi. He is also an Associate Professor at the Graduate Institute of Political Science, National Chung Sing University, and a member of the International Affairs Section, Taiwan think tank in Taiwan. So welcome to the National Security Conversation, Dr. Chen.
My pleasure.
Dr. Chen, in May last year, there were some reports that China's People Liberation Army was planning to conduct a large-scale landing exercise in the South China Seas with the aim of one day capturing the Taiwan-controlled Dongshu Islands. This apparently raised some concerns in Taipei. How concerned are you about this, what is generally believed to be a growing Chinese threat to Taiwan?
Yeah, okay. This is not news because we know that Chinese aggressiveness, has been there for a long time. Since 2015. China started to militarize the islands they occupy in South China Sea. They occupy 9 islands so far, and Taiwan controls 2 islands in South China Sea. One is called Dongsha Island, the other is called Nansha Island. And Dongsha Islands, if you look at the location, it is somewhere between Taiwan, Hong Kong, and the South China Sea. It's the very north island in South China Sea. Yeah, and actually, the way Taiwan, develop the island is very, very peaceful. We already made the Dongsha Island a national park. It's a national maritime park. Yeah, and why there are rumors and there are reports about China may seize the Dongsha Island. It is because since 2016, when DPP government of Taiwan came to power, the President Tsai Ing-wen and our government refused to accept the Chinese condition. That is one China. Taiwan belongs to China. Yeah, and so since then, China has been conducting this intimidation strategy against Taiwan. Yeah, threatening to use a military force to force Taiwan into submission, and so by threatening to use force against Taiwan, by threatening to attack or occupy island now under Taiwanese control in South China Sea, I think they try to make the international community know that China is prepared to do this kind of thing. And I would say that of course Taiwan knew China is doing this, and Taiwan is also well prepared for any kind of military confrontation with China. Okay.
How big a military threat is China perceived to be by Taiwan? And how prepared is Taiwan to defend its
Okay, well, yeah, okay.
borders?
First, Taiwan is not a small weak island. Taiwan is, in terms of military capability, we are also top 15 in the world. Okay, but the situation Taiwan is facing is very unique. We are facing one of the largest military in the world, and that is China. And this country, China, today they still consider Taiwan as a renegade province. They don't recognize Taiwan as a sovereign state. They don't recognize Taiwan as with our own independent government. And so they keep using this intimidation strategy against Taiwan. And let me talk about this issue from two perspectives. The first perspective is that in terms of military capability, yes, Taiwan is small and China is big, and they also have nuclear weapons. Okay, and so if you say that we just fight, of course, Taiwan is too small to resist. But on the other hand, if you say that China will use its military force to really destroy Taiwan and control Taiwan, it will be very, very difficult. Yeah, because first there is a Taiwan Strait between Taiwan and China. So unless they use the huge, massive military forces to launch a landing, invasion, otherwise it will be difficult for them to really effectively control Taiwan. And second is that any Chinese military attack against Taiwan will trigger a conflict between China and other major powers in the world. USA, Japan, and many countries in the world will see it is a real military invasion, a big power attacking another country. And if the Chinese leaders, if the Chinese government are rational, they should not do that.
As a representative of the Taiwanese government in Delhi, do you consider China to be Taiwan's #1 national security threat?
Yes, of course. Yeah, Taiwan government thinks that ROC government, Republic China, or now we just use the word of Taiwan, start on the island since 1949. We never be under jurisdiction of PRC. Yeah, we have been independent in the past 70 years, and but the Chinese government, under the rule of Communist Party, they never recognize our existence, and they always say that Taiwan should be part of China, and then they will unify the island by force if necessary. Okay, when someone tell you that you live at your home peacefully, making your friends, make your own living, and then someone say, "Oh, you belong to me." Yeah. You are my family. You belong to me. If you don't come back to family, I will punish you. Come on, how can you accept that? So of course that India is also China's neighbor, right? Okay, everyone, I believe that every country in this world want to have a peaceful relation with your neighbor. So as long as your neighbor respect your existence, as long as your neighbor treat you as a friend, then we could be friends. But if your neighbor do not respect your existence, they don't really see you as a friend, then this
Right.
kind of respect doesn't exist.
Right, right. How does the rise and fall in Sino-US relations affect Taiwan? I mean, we recently had the first high-level meeting after Joe Biden came to power in Washington, D.C. between Secretary of State Antony Blinken and the Chinese Communist Party Foreign Affairs Chief.
Yeah.
So how is this meeting perceived in Taiwan, and how do the relations between United States and China watched and looked at by the Taiwanese government, and what do you expect from the Biden administration?
Okay, well, you know, I'm a professor of international politics, so I would like to explain this from, international political perspective. Actually, what we see, the political, situations in East Asia is the legacy of the Cold War. That is after the 1950s,
Right.
And then first there was a Cold War between USA, the Western camp, and the Communist camp. Okay, and so the political order of the entire East Asia was first orchestrated under this Cold War framework. USA played a very, very important role. I would say it is a critical role in maintaining the stability and peace of the entire East Asia. Okay, and so any change of this political order in East Asia will will either strengthen or harm the prestige of the U.S. Okay, yeah. So because America, they had a security treaty with Japan, with Korea, and with Taiwan. Well, of course, we don't have this military pact, but the U.S. has a Taiwan Relation Act. U.S. Americans also has a security commitment, to the stability of Taiwan. So, okay, so but China, the China's situation is that in the past they were weak, they are smaller, but in recent years they show more ambition to become a world-class power. And the U.S. and the U.S. also know that China want to challenge the situation. China does show that its ambition, to change the status quo. So from Taiwan's perspective, if a U.S.-China relations get worse, become more conflictive, then Taiwan will be the target. Okay, because Taiwan for the past 70 years always on the side of the U.S. And China always want to take Taiwan back. Yeah, and the previous Trump administration, and you see that there are more conflicts between Chinese government and U.S. government. Yeah, and during that time we see more positive developments, more progress of Taiwan-U.S. relations. And now the new Biden administration, whether the U.S. or China relations will continue be more conflictive, we will see.
Right,
Yeah.
right. As China grows stronger, and it is slated to be the next superpower in many ways by a lot of estimate, the question is, the more China goes stronger, more and more countries will be dependent on China for trade, for investment, that is and the other. Do you fear that the dependence of many of these countries on China will mean that many of these countries will stop entertaining your representation in their capitals? Is that a real worry in Taipei?
Well, okay, yeah. Of course, it's never be an easy task, for us to maintain a good normal relation with many countries. Since the 1970s, since Taiwan was not a member of the United Nations, and we do have difficulties, but we managed to survive. I have to say that Taiwan is not a small power. Taiwan, if you look at Taiwan's size, Taiwan's economy Taiwan is actually its economic size is like 21, 22 in the world in terms of GDP. So it's a mid-sized power. Okay, and earlier I talked about our military, capacity, and our relations with many countries. Even we don't have diplomatic relations with India, but we maintain substantial relations. We have a lot of cooperations. Yeah, many Indian students come to Taiwan to study, and we also have a lot of investments coming to India.
Yeah.
So I think that the relations with India could also apply to our relation with many countries. Okay, you want to do business, we can do business. We could have a science and technology cooperation, and of course we could have a more political dialogues. And the conventional way of diplomacy sometimes difficult, but we manage to survive. We manage to make more friends. So we are not afraid. Yeah, as long as this country want to make friends with us, we talk. And we just make friends with them.
You know, that actually, Dr. Chen, takes me to the issue of the relationship between Taiwan and China. In an article on Taiwan's new southbound policy and South Asia, you mentioned that Taiwan's international trade and investment patterns have reflected growing interdependence with mainland China. Is that really interdependence, or is that dependence of your country on China?
This is a situation not just Taiwan are facing. Other East Asian countries also had the same problem. That is because of China today is an economic power, and it's the hub of the manufacture, for the entire world. So the neighboring countries has a lot of strong economic ties with China. Korea, Japan, Vietnam, all these countries are same. And Taiwan, because in the case of Taiwan, many Taiwanese business people, they went to China very early in the 1990s, and they already went to China. And because we speak the same language, we know their culture, so it will be relatively easy for Taiwanese business to make profit, to set up their base, to prosper in China. And of course, we pay the price. That is today, more than 40% of Taiwan's export goes to China. Yeah, last year, 40%. It's a huge number. But I have to say that.
And 60% of the offshore investment.
Investment is overall in the past 25 years, like over 60%. Of the Taiwan's overall investment go to China. But I have to point out that the Taiwanese investment to China is actually in decline. In the past 2-3 years. The reason is that we find that China is becoming a difficult market. Yeah, because the government now tightening control, economic activities. Yeah, and so it will be difficult for many Taiwanese enterprises to keep making profits. Yeah, even you make money in China, you cannot get money out. So actually, Taiwanese investment in China in the past 2-3 years are in decline. So they are shifting their production base out of China to where? Many went to Vietnam, went to Southeast Asia, and some come to India. So actually, I think that the situation is changing gradually. Yeah, today. If some Taiwanese company they want to invest overseas, they probably will not consider China. They will probably consider India or Southeast Asian countries because you see more market potential in these new emerging markets than in China.
What is the state of pro-China politics or reunification politics within Taiwan, or pro-independence on the other hand?
If you know, Taiwan is a free society. We also have media freedom. So all views you could see in Taiwan. Okay, but if you look at the people's political preference, people's identity, I would say that today, 85 or 90% of the Taiwanese people believe we are Taiwanese. Okay, only less than 5% of the people prefer, have a unification with China.
But opinion polls don't show that kind of preference for independence, for example.
Yeah. Okay, but if you ask the people that you want independence, you want unification, you will see a different answer. Majority of people will say that we want status quo. They don't say unification. They say we want a status quo. What is the status quo means? Status quo means that we don't make decision right now. Taiwanese people are so smart. They don't make decision. It is because that they don't want to take any risk. Chinese leaders, Chinese government keep saying that if you are there to go independent, we will attack you. will destroy you. So Taiwanese people are so, they're smart and okay, we don't say anything.
All right.
Yeah, but we are ready. We are already an independent
Okay,
country.
let me put you in a difficult position.
Yeah.
As a scholar, as a government official, and as a citizen.
Yeah.
Would you like independence or would you like
Well,
status
Taiwan is already independent, but we just do not have a consensus about our name. Okay, because the official name of Taiwan is Republic China. We don't change the constitution, and it is also because this political situation we are facing. Yeah, so we are already independent from PRC from the very beginning. Yeah.
So you don't mind independence? You like independence?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, we have our own national flag. We have our own constitution. We have our own army. We have our own president, and by every aspect of international law is independent. Yeah, the only problem we are facing is that our independence as is not recognized by some countries in the world.
Yeah, but as a scholar, you do know, as a scholar of international relations, you do know that Taiwan has a peculiar, if I may say so, status in the international system, right? I mean, how do you sort of view or describe Taiwan as an actor, as an analyst on the international stage? What kind of entity is it? I mean, on the one hand, you do have your flag, your constitution, your military. At the same time, you do not have representation in the United Nations. Many countries don't recognize you. So it's a very peculiar situation to be in. How do you sort of describe it?
It is not because we are peculiar. It is because of the international system, legal system are so outdated. What do we see about this international legal system based on the principle of sovereignty is a product of 19th century. And the way we treat the countries, independent or not, is based on the world politics in 1945. It's like 80 years ago. We are using the 19th century thinking. We are using the mid-20th century rule to deal with some situation we are facing in the 21st century. Taiwan is treated unfair.
Explain that to us. What does that mean? What do you mean by that?
It means that you have to think that, Taiwan is not unique. You see other similar cases in the world. There are certain countries claim that the other parts, some territories belong to their country, but they don't really govern that. There are a lot of cases in the world, and some people they aspire to become an independent country, but their will is not recognized, that is not respected. You see.
But wherever the will is not respected, you can't allow self-determination like
that.
Yeah.
In 1945, right after World War II, there are referendum, being conducted in many parts of the world. So some people they get a chance to get independence. Some people they don't get a chance, right? Okay. So since a situation like this still exists, and Taiwan, I think that why Taiwan political status is like this is because of the Cold War. Okay. So China and Taiwan become politically separated. And in the past 20, 30 years, you see that more indigenous identity being developed in Taiwan. Even we speak Mandarin Chinese. Okay, I have to admit, yes, we share the same culture, no problem. We speak Chinese, but it doesn't mean that we have to be a part of the PRC. PRC is a government founded in 1949, okay? But the Taiwan, okay, as an independent government was founded before that. So how can you say that we belong to you? This is ridiculous. And so we also want our friends, international friends, to see the reality that is Taiwan never been under the jurisdiction of PRC. Taiwan is an independent government, independent state.
How come the international system, countries in the world, say China has become stronger now, say the last 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. Even before that, many countries were simply not willing to accept you as an independent state. How come?
Because of the UN. Well, United Nations, China is a number of permanent 5. I think India knows this very well, right? Okay, and what is permanent 5? It is a creation of the end of the World War II, right? So the five powers in at the time, they decide everything for the rest of the world. So Taiwan, of course, every year in the UN, we try to, we try to join the UN, who will oppose it? Of course, we know it's China. Even China don't do that. They will act just as their friends. Say, Taiwan is not an independent country. You cannot join UN. Okay. So because of the UN system is so rigid, and all these international organizations, including WHO, and they are functional organization under the UN. So Taiwan could not
let's
join.
forget about the UN for a minute. What about other countries? There are countries who accept your diplomatic representation.
Yes.
Why is that the other countries, more countries don't accept your diplomatic representation?
Well,
is it because of China?
Yes, because
But China was not so strong 30 years ago.
No. Yeah. Okay. Well, before 1971. Okay. At the time, Taiwan was still in the UN. We also had a seat. Okay.
Yeah.
But we were kicked out in 1971. After that, the countries who recognized Taiwan are decreasing. And they just shift the diplomatic recognition from Taipei to Beijing. It is because in the before the 1990s, Taiwan also consider itself a representation of the entire China. But Taiwan already abandoned the policies. We no longer claim that we are China.
Right,
okay.
right.
And for those countries, if you want to recognize Taiwan as an independent country, to make Taiwan your friend, we welcome. No problem. Yeah, but because so I still have to go back to see this UN system, because the UN only, they only consider this only one China, and Taiwan is part of China, so Taiwan never get a chance. So it is wrong.
Dr. Chen, let's shift gears. How do you look at the recent pushback to Chinese aggression in the region? For example, there's a great deal of conversation today and debate about about Indo-Pacific and the Quad.
Okay.
Sitting in Taipei, how do you view these developments?
You mean that the Chinese?
This is sort of seen as a measure to counter Chinese aggression in the region. The whole Indo-Pacific concept, or Quad, as it were.
Okay. I would say that in the past few years, the world is now seeing that China is showing more aggressiveness. First, as I said earlier, that in South China Sea. Yeah, this South China Sea is an area that its sovereignty is under dispute. Okay. But China claim that it's their territory. Okay, and militarize the islands it control, and later China also, as we said that the last year in the India-China, LAC, you had a military conflicts. Yeah, so. I would say that China is becoming a great power, but this power causes more problems to the rest of the world. And so earlier thinking, go back to like 15, 20 years ago, countries like USA and the neighboring countries saying, look, if China became more prosperous, if China became more powerful, it will be more peaceful. But now we know this thinking is wrong.
That's right.
Is wrong. China became more powerful, and then they will become more aggressive. So the only way to reverse the situation is that we stand together in solidarity and telling China, this is wrong. You cannot treat international relations in this way. This is not your world. You have to respect your neighbor. You have to treat others as your friend. Okay, you have to respect universal values. And what you did at home and to your neighbor is wrong.
Great. Tell me more about the Southbound policy. What are some of the key components and major focal areas of this?
Yeah. In Taiwan, we call the new Southbound policy.
New Southbound
policy. It is big. I would say that it's a grand strategy initiated by the current President Tsai of Taiwan when she assumed office in 2016. And it is try to expand our relations with Southeast Asian countries and the South Asian countries. And the reason is that Taiwan, in recent years, we found that Taiwan's economic and trade relation with our Southeast Asian neighbors and also South Asia countries are increasing. But we did not, spend much focus on it. Okay, business people already investing in Vietnam, Indonesia, Thailand, these countries. And a lot of companies already came to India. But I think the government wanted to, devote more resources to promote more cooperation in different areas, science, technology, education, and culture. Yeah, in Taiwan, we know so little about India. You probably don't believe that in Taiwan we have among all 150 universities, there's no program on India. There's no any program teaching Hindi. Yeah. Okay. So if we don't even have a university teaching about India or teaching about Hindi, then how do we make friends, do business with India? So that's why that the government now try to, by promoting new Southbound policy, they devote more resources, encouraging different government sectors to establish partnership with Southeast Asia and South Asian countries, including India. You see, among all these 16 countries in South Asia and South Asia, India is the biggest.
What are some of the strategic convergences between Taiwan and India in your sort of strategic imagination?
Oh yeah, there are a lot of things we can do. Yeah, and right, because at India, I would say India is a hub between Asia and the West. Yeah, and India is a huge market. Okay, yeah, that in the 21st century you will see that India is a rising power and with a full market potential. And more important is India is play a very, very important role in security. Earlier it was Indian Ocean, but now it's Indo-Pacific.
That's right.
Yeah, so actually we have a lot of common interest between Taiwan and India. And there are a lot of areas that we did not have any cooperation, but we could explore the possibility. Yeah.
Tell me more about the cooperation or convergence between India and China, India and Taiwan on security issues.
Yeah, like the Indian Ocean maritime security issues. Yeah, Taiwan is an island, so Taiwan is ocean is I would say maritime state. Yeah, okay, and but Taiwan do not have much access to the Indian Ocean in term. I'm not talking about just military, but I'm talking about like maritime security, transportation, or the studies of the marine environments. All these we could probably cooperate. Yeah, and another example is a space. India is a big space power, and Taiwan produce a lot of components that are essential for Indians' space technologies. But we never think of having some kind of cooperation. Taiwan produce chips, India produce spacecrafts. Why not having some cooperation? Mm-hmm. So this is another thing, and there are also other similar areas. I think that like agriculture, India right now still consider agriculture as a very, very important for the country's development. Mm-hmm. Taiwan now when talk about agriculture, we use a technology. We talk about smart agriculture. Yeah, so there are a lot of areas. It's not just the military, but also high technology areas that we have a lot of convergence of interest.
There's very little understanding of Taiwan in India, and there is very little understanding of India in Taiwan. Yeah. As a representative of the Taiwanese government in Delhi, what do you plan to do about it?
We plan to do in India,
or in order to increase the awareness about
yeah, Taiwan. Okay. Well, here in India, I would say that we want to raise the visibility of Taiwan over here. Yeah, of course, at many Indian friends, particularly young friends I met over here, knows that Taiwan is a big economic power with more advanced high technologies. But Taiwan actually we can do more. That is in Taiwan that we also want to encourage more Indians to come to Taiwan to see, to travel in Taiwan, and we also want to encourage more Taiwanese companies come to India to invest. Yeah. So actually, I think that the mutual understanding, promoting mutual understanding, is the first step. When Indians, when Indian students they want to go abroad, either to travel or to study, first they think, I go to USA, I go to UK, or I go to some other country. Then Taiwan was never under their radar. So we want Indians to know about Taiwan. Okay, Taiwan, among our 150 universities, about 30 are among the top 1,000 universities in the world. So Taiwan's education is very, very attractive to Indian students. Yeah, and many Taiwanese companies, they make iPhones and make high tech products. They are shifting to India, and we need to recruit more Indian talents. So Indians have to think, okay, that maybe in future I will have a chance to work, for Taiwanese companies, or I will try to do business with Taiwanese companies. So actually, that we want to explore all these kind of opportunities. Yeah. So mutual understanding is the first step.
Bold and fascinating insights.
Yeah,
Thank you
yeah.
so much for coming on the show, Dr. Chen.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
To receive instant updates on all videos from The Wire, click the subscribe button and hit the bell icon. Pay to support independent journalism. Click the link in the description and choose the amount you want to pay.